And today, Dave and AJ will be doing a live 5-3-1 on Toni Storm Dream Matches. So let's bring in Dave, AJ, and we'll talk to you guys later.
That's right. That's right. The top 5 Toni Storm Dream Matches. And AJ, we only got a few lists this week, but they're passionate lists like Randy Osga. You know, Randy hit me up. He got some of his friends on this too. And I think it's very interesting that we're doing this week when we had the debut of Saraya. Oh. I don't hear you, buddy. I don't know if Joe hears you. Yeah. You're flat. I can't hear you.
He's 100%.
I had muted myself because I was coughing.
That's all right.
And then I forgot to unmute myself after I was coughing. No, I was saying hopefully Randy Osga realizes that we are coming on a little bit early so that he can catch his list. The other thing is I think these lists may have changed a little bit if they were sent after the debut of Saraya.
Yeah.
Realizing that the artist formerly known as Paige is able to wrestle again.
Yeah. Actually, you got a few more lists than I do, but like I can actually tell you some of my lists I got. Like Randy sent me his list before that even happened, and Paige is definitely on there. So before we get to that,
unfortunately, I think before she had showed up this week on the list that I have, at least, I think that people, when it comes to the dream matches, I think Paige to me doesn't get enough credit. I don't believe that Saraya actually gets the credit she deserves. The women's revolution that we saw, we give the credit to Charlotte Flair. We give the credit to Sasha. We give the credit to Bayley. We forget how good Paige was and how much of a factor she was in this women's revolution.
I can't disagree. And it was interesting because one of the things I knew we were doing the 5-3-1 on Toni Storm, but I knew you would want to talk a little bit about Saraya because I could tell the other day when we were talking how excited you would be about this. And I did a little research just out of curiosity, and I was looking at her Twitter numbers and her Instagram numbers, figuring they'd be decent. I knew she really cultivated a Twitch following.
They're better than decent.
Yeah, let me get to that. Let me get to that. So, I expected her to be close to a Sasha Banks or a Becky. No, she's actually a little bit more. And it's close, but she's a little bit more. It's basically to say, but she's right there. And I find that fascinating that her numbers are so high, given that she's been away from wrestling for the last few years. But I think this woman has really cultivated and used social media to further her name brand.
I wish Randy Osgo was here because that Paige versus Emma match in NXT, if you want to see a match where what Paige can really do, way to be late with that one, Randy.
All right. Obviously, you knew that was in the comments. Why don't you give me your first 2 lists this week? And we talked enough about Paige. I think she's going to be a name to watch out for. And maybe
she's not actually on a single list that I have, and I have like twice as many lists as you do.
Interesting. No,
so she might not be a name to watch out for.
Okay, she's on my list. You tell me. I let you go a little freehand this week. All right, you give me your first 2 lists, sir.
All right, so I've got Daniel Backley. He's got Io Shirai, which I think is a fantastic one. Rhea Ripley, Ginny, which I love being on that list. Kaylee Ray, also one of my favorites. And then we've seen this match already, but I could see it again. Jamie Hayter.
A little, obviously, this isn't a hater, but a little NXT UK flavored there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love the fact that he thought outside the box and actually went with a lot of the UK flavor there because the women's division in the UK was as good as anywhere. All right, I'm lucky. I get producer Joe. He's got Deonna Purrazzo, which is a fantastic pick. Mickie James. He went with Nikita Lyons, who I think is a bum. He also went with Lindsay Snow and Tiny Tenalia.
Tiny's not a suplex queen. All right.
Yeah, I just am butchering her last name there. That's I think that's a great list. The only one I really don't like is Nikita Lyons. I think that she's one of the most overrated women in wrestling right now.
Oh man, there's going to be some people upset with you, but you know what? Why don't you hit us with one more list because you do have a little bit more than me.
All right, Dave Fabe sounds an awful lot like kayfabe to me. Dave Fabe has Julia Hart, Jimmy Hart himself, Natalia, and Lady Frost. Lady Frost is a great one. I wouldn't mind seeing Jimmy Hart thrown around by her. I don't know who Dave is, so I don't really need to see that. Natalia is a great matchup, and Julia Hart, not even as good as Nikita Lyons. So
Yeah, Stefan Ricard, former guest of the show too. He also had hit against him 5 times. So you can see where our fan base's head was at this week.
yeah, my guess would be they primarily watch her on OnlyFans.
We had so many of those lists that I did not include. There was her versus a pair of tight jeans, her versus 5 different sexual positions. So we had to bring in a difference of lists this week.
Yeah, we are not. We here on the Working Fans podcast, we are not going to objectify Toni Storm.
No,
although her versus Nikita Lyons is the battle of that ass.
Yeah, since she wrestles like a jackass also.
We may have objectified her in the past, but we're not doing it anymore, goddammit. All right, I got one list here from Twitter I forgot about. 12 the Theorist Morris. Whatever. All right. What up, 12? He got Ruby Soho, Rio, Carly Sane, Mako, and Tyler Valkyrie.
That's actually a hell of a list.
Yeah, Trey did all right for himself here, representing Twitter, the Twitterites.
Nice. He was definitely theorizing it.
Maybe we'll get some more Mako votes. Maybe she's one to keep an eye out for.
Mako.
All right. What do you got?
I've got Diamante from Kevin Irvine. I've got Diamante, Nikita Lyons, Camille, Giselle Shaw, and Diana Perazza again.
What about
right now? Nikita Lyons, much to my chagrin, is tied with Diana Perazza for the lead. So,
what about the baddest bitch from the 305, Katrina?
First of all, here's a funny thing. When she brought her out, it was like, this is the baddest bitch from the 305. I have no idea who Katrina was.
I did not. She is. There are people who know. She's fairly big in the rap community. Producer Joe, I mean, you can have to tell me off here. I don't know. Did you know who Katrina was? I did not know who Katrina was.
Katrina, she is part of Trick Daddy's Slip and Slide family out of Miami.
Oh, shit. There you go.
Is that where the area code 305 is also?
Yep, that's Miami. MVP shouts it out a lot, too.
Yeah, also Pitbull. It's the 305. And also in the comments there, Mako might have happened in Japan with Toni Storm. That is true.
So. Yes.
All right.
But a lot of these have already happened or could have already happened with Toni Storm, with the amount that she travels and with the amount that she wrestled on the independents before WWE.
Well, I'll tell you what. Randy Oscar's got a list here, and this match definitely didn't happen. Medusa, number 1 on his list. That would have been a banger. Trish Stratus, maybe a name to watch out for. Taya Valkyrie, her name again. Paige, Mickey James, and oh my God, he gave us a Jake rule. AJ Strangebrew. We're not having that, Randy.
I do not endorse objectifying Toni Storm. However, I would be more than happy to have a catch-as-catch-can style match with Toni.
There you go. Hope she doesn't shoot on you, brother. All right. What do you got?
I just want to give a little update right now. We have a bunch of people tied at 2. Nobody has taken a solid lead yet. But so far tied at 2, we've got Diana Perazza, we've got Nikita Lyons, we've got Mickey James, all tied at 2. So,
all right.
Now going into it, I've got Joe Saint Germain. He's got Diana Perazza. We've got Camille. What was it?
Is that Dan Saint Germain?
Says Joe.
Okay.
That's and it could be Dan. That might be his nickname. Maybe his nickname's Joe. Who am I to judge?
All right.
But Joe Saint Germain, Diana Perazza, Camille, Rhea Ripley, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez. I like the Roxanne Perez one. I am a big fan of Roxanne Perez.
All right, yeah, Roxanne Perez is a good one. A talent to watch out for. Anthony Laterra. He's got Awesome Kong, Mickey James. Oh, that's another vote for Mickey.
Yeah, that's 3 for her, and 4 for Deanna now.
Jay Cargill and Taya Valkyrie. That's definitely the second one, at least, for Valkyrie.
It's 3 for Taya Valkyrie, 3 for Mickey James, and 4 for Deanna Purrazzo.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Look at this. Coming in hot.
Al Simmons is coming in with Camille, who now has 3. Lady Frost, Roxanne Perez, who now has 2. Lady Frost also has 2, by the way. Julia Hart now has 2. And he's got one that nobody else has mentioned so far. I don't know if this young kid's ready for Toni Storm. Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, Moolah. All right. The Spider Lady.
Exactly.
Man, big fan of Spider Lady. All right. All big fans of Fabulous Moolah and what she meant to women's wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I think that over the years we've learned nobody has done more for women's wrestling than the Fabulous Moolah.
No one's done more for women than the Fabulous Moolah. Shout out to Moolah. All right. Philip Griffin. He's got Trish Stratus. So that's another time I've seen her here. Lita. Saraya. Also Paige. So
yeah.
Mickey
Paige is up to 2 now. Mickey James up to 4.
Medusa.
Medusa now up to 2.
All right. So I only have one list left. AJ, how many you got?
I have one list and then my own.
All right. Why don't you hit me with that list you got? Then I'll go, then you.
I have Mike Aubin. He's got Camille, Deanna Purrazzo, and then here's one that I think we talked about this last week with Bianca. I think this person has become a forgotten wrestler almost due to her own doing. Tessa Blanchard. That's Giselle Shaw and Lindsay Snow. So very solid list by Mike Aubin. And Deanna Purrazzo is now out to a resounding lead in the contest here.
Well, I'm going to help take some of that away because I did not vote for her. I have, here's one I didn't think got enough love. Beth Phoenix. I think her and Storm would have a banger. Trish Stratus. I know someone's already said that. And Lita, after reading that. Meiko Satomura. I didn't think about Japan, so I had that down there. And at the end of the day, Bianca Belair, because Bianca's a great athlete, and I don't remember those two ever hooking up in NXT.
So we have some of the same. I've got Beth Phoenix also.
Yep.
You and I think are both Beth Phoenix fans.
Yes.
Then I had Roxanne Perez because I thought that would be a hell of a match. Trish Stratus is always on my list. I do have Deanna Purrazzo. That's because I am a huge Deanna Purrazzo fan. And then my last one, this one might throw you off a little bit. I actually went also with Medusa.
Okay, interesting. I'm not surprised. You're a big Medusa fan. So what are our final tallies here?
So the top 3, and these are the 3 that had the most votes. Deanna Purrazzo had 6. We ended up having 4 for both as a tie. Mickey James, and then also for... Sorry, I'm looking at my list here real quick. And then also 4 for... Why am I going blank here? I wrote it down. Sorry, I'm counting.
That's okay.
And then 4 also for...
Randy, yes, AJ did have Joe did have a list.
It's actually Nikita Lyons. Sorry, shit.
So Nikita Lyons.
Nikita James. Yeah, it's Nikita Lyons. It is her and
Mickey James.
Mickey James were tied for 4, and then 6 for Deanna Purrazzo. And that's why I couldn't find it, was because I actually was getting annoyed and crossed off Nikita Lyons.
Well, we're not going to get much argument here. When we're talking about Toni Storm Dream Matches, this is a case where we didn't have as many votes, and this pick really, no offense, shouldn't be on there. Like who you want, it's fine. But no, I just don't see this as a dream match. This is clearly, I'll keep it on in the top 3 because of the votes, but it's going to end right there. You're going to have your Nikita Lyons fantasy at number 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as far as Mickey James and Deanna Purrazzo, now we're talking the good stuff here, okay? I think Purrazzo might be a better technical match, but at the end of the day, no offense, and she might go on to pass Mickie James, and they had a great feud. But Mickie James competing for the Royal Rumble while in Impact, competed at WrestleMania, multi-time WWE Women's Champion and Knockouts Champion. To me, the money's Mickie James.
And Mickie James is a Hall of Famer. That's we're talking about the difference, and we talked about this last week. When it comes down to it, and you have to calculate everything in. Mickie James can carry a good enough match still, where her wrestling meets up with her talent and her draw ability. If she wasn't still the great wrestler that she was, then it might outweigh it a little bit. But I have to go with Mickie also, even though I would much rather see Deonna Purrazzo personally.
Right, but I'll just put it to you this way. If I was looking to sell tickets and I was going to put on the biggest match I could, not that Purrazzo wouldn't be, I would take Mickie James in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the 100%. And that's at the end of the day what we have to go by. I just reiterate, personally, I'd rather see the other match.
Absolutely. All right, so that's our list there. Mickie James is the winner and the dream match of the week for Toni Storm. All right, now our next segment. There it is. And he's back.
All right, guys. The PWI 500 came out last week. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to jump into discussing it. And just quickly going over it, the evaluation period goes from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Primary criteria are in-ring achievement, which is win-loss record, championships, tournaments won, influence, being visibility and prestige within a promotion and or industry, competition, success against the most and varied high-quality opponents, and activity, minimum 10 matches total or 6 in separate months. The ranking committee is Al Castle, former guest of the show, Brian R. Solomon, Harry Burkett, Righteous Reg, Kristen Ashley, Candice Cordelia, and Kevin McElvaney, with special thanks to Striga, Chris Zellner, Francesco Mandolini, Jason McVeigh, Pat LaPrade, and Merrick Indica. And today we are going to talk about number 500 over the last few years, because I think it's always interesting who's in the top 10, top 20, but number 500 is interesting. So this year it is Dustin Wilson. Last year, 2021, was Lulu Pencil. She did a little bit of work in AEW.
Oh, yeah.
Year before that was Dan the Dad. 2019 was Corey Storm. 2018 was Puff. And 2017 was Daniel Richards. So Dustin Wilson's going to be a name to keep an eye on over the next couple years.
Yeah, it's always fun to see where the top 500s will go. I think and Dave, you might disagree with me, but I think that what we remember from the early 90s or the mid 90s was Duke the Dumpster Droese literally got number 500 and then was signed by the WWE. So I think that's always the dream, is that, oh my God, I was 500. Yeah. Maybe I can get signed to WWE next year. It does not usually work out quite that way.
No,
but that was a fun one when you saw somebody literally get the 500 spot and they were in the WWE the following year.
Yeah. But
it is a form of notoriety. Now, are there any wrestlers you guys would like to know where they placed in the 500?
Yeah, I'll throw one out there for you. Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes. Let's look him up real quick.
Yeah. Dustin's been wrestling for so many decades. I'm just kind of curious how he's still being recognized. He's not as active.
He did not make it on there. Cody is 6th, but Dustin is unranked. And it's probably...
I don't think he wrestled enough this year to actually get into the 500, to be honest with you. He had great matches when he did, but to me, his inactivity is what's going to cost him.
Yeah, maybe in his win-loss record. Like, if you're having competitive matches, but you're not winning them, you know.
Well, to give you an idea, let's try Christopher Daniels.
Christopher Daniels. Let's see where he placed. And he is also not ranked.
Yeah, and I think once again, it's because even though they both had some matches this year, it's just not having enough matches to get yourself into there.
Shows the pulse me and AJ have on this, though. We're the guys that are. Now, I'm interested in these guys that are still competing at a high rate, I think, in the ring. But, we don't see as much of them. And I guess maybe the inactivity probably hurts them on this list.
Now, there are some that I'm interested in that have a little bit more. Like maybe we'll see Christopher Sabin in there.
Chris Sabin, let's see where he popped up. He was number 202.
Number 202. And he's primarily a tag wrestler now, but he's had some great singles matches over the year also.
Yeah, I would have thought he'd be higher.
For that matter, let's look where Alex Shelley popped up. And Alex Shelley was number 70.
What?
Yeah, incredible.
To be fair, he did have a run with the independent wrestling title. He was doing a lot of independence.
Now here's an interesting one for you. FTR. Where the two of them actually fell in the rankings.
Interesting, yeah.
Let's look that up. We got Dax Harwood.
I assume Dax is going to be the higher of the two.
He is 101. And his partner.
Oh my God, if Cash doesn't actually make the list.
He's got to be on there. And he is not on there.
Wow.
So that shows you.
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that shows you sometimes how different people can be portrayed in different ways. Because is Dax that much better than Cash that Cash is not on the list at all?
They mainly wrestle as a tag team. And, I mean, Dax has had a couple singles matches, but if you look at the Young Bucks, they wrestle primarily as a tag team. They're 183 for Nick Jackson and 184 for Matt Jackson.
Yeah, I think we're finding some holes here. Let's continue this thought here then. Primarily tag wrestlers. Is Anthony Bowens on the list?
Anthony Bowens. Let's look. Anthony Bowens is 188.
Okay.
And Max Caster is 171.
Okay. I was gonna say, I would think Max would be a little higher because Anthony was injured part of the year.
I would agree with that. But did either one of them have that many more singles matches than, say, a Cash Rio or something like that? To me, that's just, I don't know.
So here's an interesting one for you. Swerve and Keith Lee.
Now, I expect both of them to be on that list.
No, I expect both of them to be on, but I'm interested to see where they fall.
Interesting.
Because we might. Who do you think is going to be higher?
Who I think should be higher, Keith Lee.
Do you think Keith Lee should be higher? Because to me, Swerve is actually the better wrestler.
Well, we're not talking about wrestling. We're talking about how they're perceived, win-loss record.
Yeah.
So but Keith Lee was disappeared most of the year.
Good point. Let's see.
Keith Lee was 80. Swerve Strickland was 82. Because when they were in WWE, they had Strickland might have had slightly more visibility, but they were basically non-existent there. And then coming over to AEW, I don't think either had a major singles run before they were teamed up.
But literally with both of them, there are only 2 spots difference between the two of them. So that shows you how people can be perceived.
A lot of tag teams are fairly close. Danny Limelight, former guest of the show, 374. That's not a bad rank there.
Yeah. But so far, the only team where one person just didn't make the list is FTR.
That's true. What other tag teams you want to throw in here that we can look up?
I mean, we could go the Viking Raiders. I don't know how they would have done.
Oh, let's see.
I mean, an interesting one would be the Usos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bad one. Let's look up Usos.
I mean, main event Jay certainly had a bigger push 2 years ago.
Right.
So Jay was 139. Jimmy was 147.
So still, once again, fairly close.
Yeah. It's interesting to see where some of these numbers fall. And do you guys want to go out on one more pick each? And then we will get to who we're going to do for next week's 5-3-1.
Absolutely.
And we will maybe... I'm kind of putting together this PWI 500 segment on the fly. And
I got one for you.
Who do you got?
The Great Muda.
Oh, yeah, Muda.
He's in his retirement tour. I'm interested to see where he falls, and or if he falls in the top 500 still.
Keiji Muto, 176.
That's not bad for a guy heading into retirement.
Hey, I got a guy. I don't think he'll be on there, but I'm just wondering because I know he still wrestles here and there. George South.
Oh.
George South is not on here.
Bummer.
Now, somebody from the time period of Muta. How about Sting?
Sting, let's see. You would think he wrestled. He is 173.
Interesting.
So they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah. And that's interesting for people of that age. Who else is an older wrestler that's still going? Christian.
Some would say Chris Jericho.
Jericho, definitely. I am not seeing Christian on this list, surprisingly.
He may not have wrestled enough.
No, he's on there. Christian Cage, 81.
Oh. So he's actually in between Swerve and Keith Lee.
Yep. Let's see what Jericho got. He had a pretty big year.
I'm going to guess in the 30s.
22.
Oh. That's not too bad at all.
No, not at all.
Hey, did what's his name? Butch. Did he make the list?
Oh, let's see if he made it as Pete Dunne or Butch.
That'd be funny if they had a slot for Butch and for Pete Dunne. But not one for Cash
No,
Wheeler.
Butch has a spot, 288.
Wow.
I'd like to think that number would be higher if he were Pete Dunne.
I want to speak to the fans real quick. If you think that Pete Dunne is the 288th best wrestler, you need to watch more Butch.
Well, I mean, if you look at how he's been booked over the last year or so, the win-loss record is not great either. Yeah, Chris Jericho won that ROH championship on Wednesday. That was very surprising. I'm looking forward to Rampage tonight with Action Bronson getting into the ring and whatever other matches they have planned for us.
First of all, I think we're all big fans of how Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor title. He did it in true Ring of Honor fashion. So kudos to Chris Jericho.
I mean, there was some interference, but here's at the end of the day, I mean, there's so little interference in wrestling nowadays. Like, you barely ever see like distraction finishes. So I thought it was creative and something different.
No, absolutely, and you almost never see a low blow finish anymore. So hey, and quite frankly, let's face it, Claudio. You know, he's had so many title runs in his life. He really didn't deserve a long one here. So hey, kudos.
And I know we'll get to next thing, or we'll get to next week's. But I did hear a theory that if Jericho won the belt, then maybe because he's a bigger name, this will be the announcement of a TV deal coming soon. Hopefully so.
Which could be a good thing. Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, hopefully Claudio gets another shot at that title. But next week, Claudio will be getting a shot at a live 531. We're going to do top Claudio Castagnoli dream matches.
There you go.
Do him and Garcia have a match for both titles? That could be very interesting. That could be something going into Full Gear in November.
Be huge for Garcia.
So next week, we'll do Claudio Castagnoli dream matches, and we will evaluate the top 10s of the PWI the last few years, and we'll kind of go over those, maybe dig for some more lists in the 500 or some more names in the 500. So guys, thank you for joining us again this week, and we will talk to you later.
I'm going to fill out ballots for Cash